Hello, everyone, and welcome back again to the 80s Movie Den. So, this is episode number 3 of my 8-part series, 1980s Action Stars. And for episode 3, I've chosen Harrison Ford. This was a surprise for me. Some of you may be thinking that's crazy, but it really was. When I was doing some of my research, I never even thought of Harrison Ford as being an action star in the 1980s. I had a very narrow-minded view of what I considered to be an 80s action star. It was muscle-bound, punching, kicking, grunting, machine guns, that kind of thing. But he very much qualifies. These are action films. Yeah, sci-fi, but they're still action. And he definitely qualifies to be on the list. So just very quickly, he was born on July 13th, 1942, in Chicago. His movies have made $5.4 billion in the US alone and $9.3 billion worldwide. He's very much regarded as like an American pop icon, a cultural icon. He's in his 80s now. He's still working. Come to find out, he's a licensed pilot, commercial and private. He flies helicopters. Makes sense. He flies the Millennium Falcon. He can easily fly a helicopter. It's bad humor. But yeah, anyways. Yeah, so what's interesting about these films is that I haven't seen all of his movies. I've only really seen the movies that are standing up here, and he's made a ton of movies. He's done, I have the movies here that I haven't seen. I just picked them up. Clear and Present Danger. I don't know anything about that film. Patriot Games. I believe these are 90s films. And I'm definitely, yeah, this is 94. So Clear and Present Danger is 94. And I don't know. And this is 1992, Patriot Games. So he's made a lot of movies. He's well versed. Wide range of different films. Science fiction, of course. Fantasy, sci-fi, Wi-Fi, sci-fi, action films. And I think that's the reason why I never thought of him as an action star, because these are science fiction movies. They're not action movies, they're science fiction movies. But if you think about, what he did in those movies, shooting guns and running and jumping and flying and, all that kind of stuff, right? It's action. So he definitely belongs on that list. Blade Runner. Just checked out Blade Runner about 2-3 weeks ago and absolutely loved it. I thought it was an awesome film. There's a new Blade Runner out. I think it's called 2049 or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. He, and I don't know if he's in it or not, or if it's just a remake. I'm not too sure. I don't know anything about it. I have to look into that one. But between the Star Wars movies, and the Indiana Jones franchise, that could have been a career for him. Just incredible films, and I think a lot of his $5.4 billion comes from those two franchises. Not to say that his other movies weren't well received or weren't good movies, but I would have to say that the bulk of those earnings came from those two franchises for sure. Very interesting. He worked with George Lucas before Star Wars. They worked together on a movie called American Graffiti, which was released in 1973. That was pretty much, I would say, his first bigger break into Hollywood and films. And what's interesting about that relationship between the two of them was that when George Lucas went to do the Star Wars films and he was developing characters and he was auditioning potential actors for roles in the movies, uh, he brought Harrison Ford along to help out with the readings. So basically, Harrison Ford was just hired to feed lines to the actors auditioning. He had never intended on putting Harrison Ford in the movies. He wanted to go with unknown actors, and Harrison Ford by that point was relatively well known. But with the line readings and all that, he was doing so well that he decided to cast him in his films, and a good thing he did, because I don't think you could have gotten a better Han Solo. So I'm glad that worked out the way that it did. But yeah, so Harrison Ford definitely deserves to be in my top 8 for action stars of the 1980s for sure. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. But yeah, that should be interesting. But yeah, that'll do it for this episode. Harrison Ford, number 3 on my top 8 1980s action stars. Stick around for episode 4. We'll see who's going to crack the top 8 then. If you're new to the channel, thanks a lot for showing up. I really appreciate you checking it out. This is the type of content you're going to see. And I do a video every Saturday. I do the odd Sunday release and my Friday night shorts. Look out for those as well. This has been the 80s Movie Den, and as always, we'll catch you on the next one.